2023. Please take note of the meeting norms on the screen to mute yourself when not speaking, and turn on your camera if you're able to provide a more interactive environment for the meeting. And please state your name and organization when you speak, and limit the chats and try to communicate via the microphone if you're able. We'll get started here in just a minute. Thank you. Jed, can you let me know when we have a quorum?
Will do. Mr. Chair, a quorum is present.
Thank you, Jed. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any corrections or additions to the agenda as presented? Hearing none, the agenda is approved as presented. And moving on to item number 2, approval of the June 8th, 2023 TAC Planning minutes by roll call. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
This is David Burns. I will make a motion to approve the June 2023 meeting minutes.
Thank you, David. Is there a second to approve the June 8th, 2023 meeting minutes?
Elaine Kutsukos will second.
Elaine seconds. Thank you, Elaine. Jed, can you take the roll call, please?
Angie Stenson, Carver County.
Aye.
Grace Almeida, Suburban Transit Association. Bill Dermody, St. Paul.
Aye.
Bridget Reef, MAC. Charlie Howley, Chanhassen. David Burns, Met Council.
Aye.
Elaine Kutsukos, Tab Coordinator.
Aye.
Gina Medico, Dakota County.
Aye.
Innocent AO, Pollution Control Agency. Jack Forsland, Anoka County.
Aye.
Ashley Morello, Hennepin County.
Aye.
Kelsey Folk, Minneapolis. Sarah Allen, Washington County.
This is Lissa Leitner here for Sarah. Aye.
Ross Beckwith, West St. Paul.
Aye.
Michael Corbett, MnDOT.
Aye.
Michael Larson, Council Community Development.
Aye.
Nathan Abney, Scott County.
Aye.
Scott Merrick, Ramsey County.
Aye.
Patrick Haney, Metro Transit.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 14 ayes, no noes, and no abstentions.
Thank you, Jed. So the meeting minutes of June 8th, 2023 are approved as presented. Thank you, everybody. Jed, are there any members of the public that indicated a desire to comment?
No.
Okay, so moving on to our action item business. Action item number 1, 2023-38, Urban Area Boundary, David Burns. David?
Great, thank you, Chair. So I presented upon this last meeting, and if you might recall, every decade we basically go through a urban area boundary process. I'm going to kind of just briefly touch upon why we're doing this, a little bit of background, and then we have had some requested changes to the map since our last meeting. I'll just kind of briefly go over those, and that's basically it. So let me just go ahead and see if I can share my screen on WebEx, which is always a little bit more cumbersome than Teams. Okay, great. Okay. Does that look correct? Yes, okay, thanks. All right, as I said, just as a kind of reiterating what we talked about last month, the urbanized or urban area boundaries are updated by the U.S. Census Bureau basically after the completion of the every 10-year census. So what we as the MPO and our partners do is we look at the boundaries and we actually kind of smooth them out, basically meaning adjust them outward in order to follow, a sort of identifiable logical features such as roadways and right-of-way, interchanges, water features, municipal boundaries, etc. So you can see like kind of the salmon-colored area right there that represents the actual identified urban area boundary by the census, and then the expanded or smoothed is represented by that purple color there, and that's in this case to kind of include some roadways that maybe meander into that area or stop logically within that area. So in essence, the smoothed urban area boundary must include the entire area identified as urban by the Census Bureau. So it can't shrink it, but you can expand it, and you need to expand it. So basically, the MPO, in coordination with our partners, leads this process for areas large enough to have an MPO. For most MPOs, and the council is a little bit different, the urban boundary affects federal transportation programs such as roadway functional classification, the FHWA Highway Performance Monitoring System, or HPMS, the apportionment and distribution of surface transportation planning block group funds. It also sets the boundaries for the US DOT for kind of data reporting, the amount of particular functional classifications within urban and rural area. And primarily it's used to determine the metropolitan area planning boundary, which is basically the MPO's area of influence. However, by state law, the MPA boundary for the council, it must include all of the 7 counties, and thus the urban and rural distinction within the 7 counties is not of huge consequence. There is, starting in the 2010 census and continuing onward, the urban area did continue to include portions of Wright and Sherburne counties. And we did meet, this seems to be updated here, but yeah, we did meet with those counties in mid-June and discuss the proposed smooth boundaries. Some of the changes since June, like I said, we We met with them on June 12th, and we also received a number of comments from MnDOT and some other stakeholders. Some noteworthy changes to the map is extending the boundary outward in many locations to include interchanges. It's important that we include those within our planning area. We also incorporated sort of weaving roads into the urbanized area. This was all within the 7-county area. So again, that urban-rural distinction is not a great consequence. We expanded to include all of the city of Rosemount. Previously, we did not have Dakota Technical College, which is kind of a destination included within that boundary. And there were some minor changes in Rhett and Sherburne County, mainly to include interchanges. So map is, again, kind of difficult to see, but the bright purple represents areas added to our urban area because of the 2020 census, and that kind of hatched pink are areas removed from our urban area from 2010 to 2020. And I mentioned this last time, but some of the reason for the removal of the Stillwater area here is due to the fact that Stillwater is now its own urban area, and we cannot include their urban area boundary within the Twin Cities urban area boundary. However, they are still part of our planning area boundary. As confusing as all those boundaries sound, in essence, yeah, it's just Stillwater barely meets the threshold for an independent urban area. Timeline and process. We brought this to you last month for initial look, got some feedback, and today we are asking for your approval to send this on for TAC and TAB approval in August. And with that, I'm just going to go back to the map if you have any questions, and I will send it back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, David. Kind of seems to me this is sort of a administrative type of requirement that is somewhat inconsequential in the broad scheme of things to our planning process. Correct me if I'm misinterpreting that, but I guess that's sort of my take on this. So I guess I don't see any issues from my perspective in approving this. Does anybody have any questions or comments, or would somebody like to make a motion to recommend approval of this and forward this to TAC?
This is Lisa. I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Lissa. Is there a second?
This is Jack. I'll make a second.
Thank you, Jack. So we have a motion and a second. And the recommended motion is that TAC Planning Committee recommend adoption of the proposed smooth urban area boundary. And I believe this recommendation will be forwarded on to TAC, the full TAC, for their consideration at their next meeting. So Jed, will you take the roll, please?
Stenson,
Aye.
Almeida, Dermody,
Aye.
Leaf, Howley, Burns,
Aye.
Katsukos,
Aye.
Mitiko,
Aye.
Ao, Horsland,
Aye.
Morello,
Aye.
Vogt,
Aye.
Leitner,
Aye.
Beckwith, Russ Beckwith,
Aye.
Corbett,
Aye.
Larson,
Aye.
Abney,
Aye.
Merrick,
Aye.
Haney.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there were 15 ayes, no noes, and no abstentions.
Thank you, Jed. So that motion is approved.
Thank you.
And we can move on to the next item of business. RBTN adjustments for regional solicitation. Who do we have presenting that item from staff?
I'm just getting my camera and microphone on now. I need to share.
Okay.
So
Thank
bear
you,
with me a
Steve.
moment, you bet. And hang on a second. Share this. That's not right. There we go, screen. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I just 1, 2, 3, screen 1. There we go. Multiple screens. Can you see my, did I share it? Or is it a 2-click? Here, share. Now, maybe you can see it.
We can see it.
Okay, good. Okay, great. Thanks, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, committee members. Let me just start by noting that these RBTN updates that we're considering for this regional solicitation cycle are based on an administrative process that is identical to the process we used back in 2019 for the 2020 regional solicitation. We began this process through by notifying planning agencies of the opportunity to submit requests for RBTN adjustments. Back in early April, agencies were given until May 1st to submit those requests. And then through that notification, we defined administrative adjustments to include 3 specific categories that included alignment designations within already established RBTN corridors, minor extensions up to a half mile that connected to other RBTN alignments or regional trails or designated regional destinations, or minor alignment or corridor centerline shifts that continued to serve the regional destinations that were served by the initial alignment or corridor. So those were the descriptive definitions that were for consideration through this process. And so through this process, we received a total of 20 requests. I just skipped ahead, sorry. Through this process, we received a total of 20 requests for network adjustments from 3 agencies in the numbers shown here for each of the adjustment categories. And then in addition to those, we received 2 requests for RBTN upgrades to Tier 1 status, which were not eligible for consideration through this administrative process. So we received the requests and we reviewed them as staff, and then we met with each of the 3 agencies' staff to confirm specific details of the requests and or to clarify our decision rationale. We also talked about future planning opportunities and considerations for future updates. So I would characterize those meetings to be very collaborative and very helpful in terms of future planning. Of the 20 network changes that were requested, 11 were accepted and incorporated into the RBTN mapping. 6 were determined to be not eligible given the administrative adjustment definitions that were published. 2 were not accepted primarily due to requiring some level of coordination with local agencies that would take more time and could be considered in a future update. And one request did change was determined to be unnecessary because it lied within existing RBTN corridors, and so really didn't need to happen. So for requests that were not accepted or not eligible those changes or suggestions were documented for future planning discussions and possible updates to the RBTN. So with that, we updated the RBTN map with the 11 accepted administrative adjustments with the locations that are shown here. And I'm just going to leave this up for a few seconds. And I'll point out that there are 3 alignment extension locations that are denoted in red circles, 7 alignment shift locations shown in orange, and 1 corridor shift shown in yellow. And then finally, here is the newly updated RBTN map with all of the accepted administrative adjustments incorporated for your consideration today. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Steve. And I guess I would maybe ask the agencies that have changes that are represented on this map if you have any comments or questions or things that you would like brought to this group's attention for discussion. Or if not, if there aren't any questions, then I guess I would entertain a motion to approve.
I have one question, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Angie.
I understand this process was constrained to the administrative process to not look at any further at the tiers. But I was interested to hear that another agency may be interested in that as well. We were interested in that last time. And so my question is, what will be the process to look at the tiers in the future? Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee member Angie. Thanks for your question. I guess that's to be determined, but we will most likely need to take a look at some tiering of certain alignments that are within the existing regional plan at some future point. So possibly the next TPP update after this one, and with some work leading up to that process, I would say, is my best guess.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions for Steve? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the adjustments as presented?
This is Lissa. I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Lissa. Lissa moves to approve. Is there a second?
This is Gina. I'll second.
Thank you, Gina. Motion is made and seconded to approve the recommended RBTN adjustments as presented. Jed, will you take the roll, please?
Stenson,
Aye.
Almeida, Grace Almeida, Dermody,
Aye.
Reef, Howley,
Aye.
Burns.
Burns is aye.
Was that Grace voting there?
Yes. Aye.
Thank you. Katsukos,
Aye.
Mitiko,
Aye.
Ao, Horsland,
Aye.
Morello,
Aye.
Vogt.
Aye.
Leitner,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Corbett,
Aye.
Christensen,
Aye.
Abney,
Aye.
Merrick,
Aye.
Haney.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there were 16 ayes, no nos, and no abstentions.
Thank you, Jed. So the motion is approved to recommend the RBTN adjustments to TAC. Thank you. What do we have next, Jed?
Next on the agenda is 2023-40, the 2040 Transportation Policy Plan Amendment number 2, David Burns.
Hi. All right, great. Thank you, Jed, Mr. Chair, and members. Let me just go ahead and share this slideshow. Okay, can we see that okay?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So just as a little overview, I'm going to talk briefly about this because we don't have TPP amendments too terribly often. So I'll talk briefly about the requirements of the TPP amendment, give a little bit of background on the 2 projects that will be amended into the TPP fiscally constrained scenario, which is the US 10 congestion mitigation project in Anoka County in the city of Coon Rapids, and the US 169 County State Aid Highway CSAH 59 Interchange project in Scott County, and talk about kind of the next steps as it is a process that does involve more public involvement than our typical gold tip amendment might. So this amendment is required due to the type of highway project and the fact that it is deemed regionally significant. So on US Highway 10, which is a principal arterial, the project will be expanding from 4 to 6 lanes with the along 3 miles within the city of Coon Rapids, and that is an expansion of 2 to 3 lanes north or eastbound or westbound, and 2 to 3 lanes southbound, and also the addition of a new interchange on US 169, which is also a principal arterial. Just as a reminder, our transportation policy plan contains a current revenue scenario, which is basically the fiscally constrained list of major projects for the region, which goes out to 2040 for the current plan. Projects that are deemed regionally significant must be identified within the TPP and then included within the TIP to begin construction. So both of these projects do fit the definition of regionally significant, and because of this, the council staff examines their consistency with our established transportation policy plan goals, objectives, and strategies, the impact on funding, the impact on environmental justice areas and overall regional equity, and the impact on performance outcomes due to the addition of these to our current revenue scenario. So first, we have the US 10 project between basically CSAH 9, which is which is around Lake Boulevard on the north side there, and Hanson Boulevard, which is CSAH 78 on the southeast side. Multiple studies have been done by this in the past by Anoka County, and overall, the addition of these 2 lanes, one in each direction, will help to alleviate congestion near 2 of its major commercial and industrial hubs. So the overall project is expected to be roughly $30 million. And I will note this is fully funded by the 2023 Transportation Omnibus Bill. Thus, it maintains fiscal constraint of our transportation policy plan. It's consistent with our 2040 TPP because it aligns with our safety and security goals, our access to destination goal, and our competitive economy goal. Public input, this will undergo, as I'll explain a little bit later towards the end of the presentation, a 45-day public comment period, which we will certainly listen to public comments and respond to them. And the time frame of this, should it be approved, would be 2025. Right now, we're looking at 2025 beginning of construction and probably continue on to 2029. Secondly, we have the US 169 CSAH 59 interchange. This is roughly 2.5 miles southwest of the city of Jordan, and it converts an at-grade intersection to a grade-separated interchange. So this area really serves as an important freight and mobility connection between the metro area and kind of south central, southwest Minnesota as a whole. It's going to help mitigate a lot of safety concerns, in particular during kind of certain times, during certain significant events within the region or within the area. And yeah, the total funding is $14.4 million. This, again, is fully funded by a local option sales tax. It is consistent with our 2040 TPP as it aligns with, again, our safety and security goal, access to destinations goal, and competitive economy goal. I will also say this did go through our interchange review process and was approved by that group. Public input is the same as the prior project. It's forthcoming during that 45-day public comment period, and this one's going to look to have perhaps a late 2024 start time. I just want to briefly go over the schedule here. It's a little more complex. I've highlighted TAC Planning at the beginning. We are looking for potentially your review and recommendation. Then it will go on to TAC and TAB in August, the Transportation Committee late August, and the Council to ask for its review and release for public comment on September 13th of 2023. Then we'll have a 45-day public comment period, at which time it will go back to the tab as an information item in November, and the Transportation Committee to accept the public comments and recommend for approval in late November, and the full council to accept the public comments and approve the amendment to the TPP in December of 2023. We do have staff from both Anoka and Scott counties should any particular questions arise, but that is what I have for you today, and I'm happy to turn it back to you, Mr. Chair, and help answer any questions that might come up.
Thank you, David. Seems like a pretty straightforward amendment in both cases, but I'll open it up for any questions or comments for David.
Mr. Chair, this is Ashley Morello. I have a question.
Go ahead, Ashley.
I am wondering, has there been any conversation about how either of these projects meet the region's goals related to climate action?
That's a great question, David.
Yeah, that is a great question. Right now, we are still assessing the overall performance outcomes, and that is those are being prepared at this time by our modeling staff. I can't say too much beyond that, as we don't truly have a full picture of what the effects might be, but it is something that we're certainly keeping an eye on.
I see. Thank you. I think that helps understanding that it's on the Met Council's radar and that it is something that is being thought through.
Yeah, thank you.
Director Carlson, did you have a comment?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. It is a great question and a lot of information yet to be known, as Dave pointed out. This was a significant topic of the new transportation law that the state passed, and actually there's a working group that's been appointed to deal with many of these topics, and member organizations of this body are also represented, as well as the Met Council in that group, and really their charge is to figure out exactly this topic, how to assess and how to mitigate some of these issues on these projects. The work group will kick off on, I believe it's July 28th is the first meeting of that group. But the report will be due to the legislature with recommendations on February 1st. And then this provision of law where this assessment must be complete and effects mitigated takes effect in 2025. So very much a developing area, but a great question to point out as this work emerges.
Yep. Mr. Chair.
Yes, Innocent, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, I've kind of similar, but I know you have provided some of the answers, but I was kind of concerned that in most of the long range plan that we have, we trying to reduce induced demand, and these projects actually expansion from 4 to 6 lanes, and we having issues with greenhouse gas issues and also the climate change. And I was wondering, as part of the engagement, whether they have already maybe work with the counties involved or the cities or actual citizens that live around that those corridors, especially in terms of BIPOC communities.
Great. Thank you, Innocent and Mr. Chair. I will say that we still have yet to determine overall some of the outcomes. I would agree that induced demand is something that's certainly on our mind for especially the Coon Rapids project, as well as our environmental justice and equity analysis, which we just have not completed quite at this time. But there's certainly going to be plenty of opportunity for public comment and public input as these projects develop over the next few months, or go through the process through the next few months.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, David and Innocent. Are there any other questions or comments about the proposed amendments as presented? If not, the recommended motion is to recommend for TAC to release the presented draft 2040 TPP amendments for both projects, which will be submitted to the public for review and comment. Would somebody like to make that motion?
This is Lissa. I'll make the motion again since people are very quiet today.
Thank you, Lissa, for keeping things moving. Is there a second?
Michael Corbett, I'll second.
Thank you, Michael. So there's a motion and a second to approve the motion as I just read. Jed, please take the roll.
Henson,
Aye.
Almeida,
Hi.
Carmody.
Aye.
Reef, Howley, Burns,
Aye.
Katsukos,
Aye.
Mitiko, Ao,
Hi.
Horsland,
Aye.
Amarillo.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Excuse me, Leitner.
Aye.
Beckwith.
Aye.
Corbett.
Aye.
Larson.
Aye.
Abney.
Aye.
Merrick.
Aye.
Haney.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there were 17 ayes, no nos, and no abstentions.
Thank you, Jed. So the motion is approved as presented. What do we have next on the agenda, Jed? I don't have my agenda in front of me.
That is all for business.
Okay, great. And it looks like there's no information items. Are there any other items of business that the group, anybody in the group would like to bring forward? Hearing none, we are adjourned and we look forward to seeing most of you at 2 o'clock for the TPP technical work group. Thank you.